Okay, I was at the gas station, like I'm thinking about this, and I had to get like cash out of the register. I wasn't buying anything, and I walk up, oh, can I take cash out of this card? She's like, oh, you have to buy something, and there was like this single rose like next to the thing, so I was like, grab the rose and I'll buy this. And I turned to the lady behind me. She's like in her 60s or something.
Sure.
And I'm like, would you like this rose? And she goes, no.
What?
Oh, no.
I was like,
That's so nice
That is
I
of
was
you.
like,
the
what
sweetest thing I've ever heard.
hi guys, welcome back to the Journey Coaching Podcast. I'm Abigail.
I'm Dylan.
I'm Tyler.
And as you can see, we're in a new setup. So
thanks.
that's pretty awesome.
All thanks
All
to
thanks to Abigail.
I designed
Abigail.
it.
If
and
it were
I
up
made
to
it.
me, we would still be in the old one.
Yeah.
Not
was
because I
like,
don't like this one, but because I have no eye for design.
Your life, your journey starts now.
So today we're going to do something a little bit different. I have a bunch of questions that are apparently very popular on the internet, and I'm going to interview you guys. So first question, and I'm going to go to you first, and we'll just go back and forth.
Sure.
So if you guys met your 16-year-old self, what advice would you give to them?
If you already have an answer, Tyler,
Yeah.
go for it.
Okay, my answer to my 16-year-old self, or what my advice to my 16-year-old self would be, just because something makes you nervous or like something feels daunting doesn't mean that it's a reason to not do it. Like challenges that are in front of you, just because they make you nervous or anxious or whatever, that's actually sometimes an indication that that's exactly the thing that you should do, not just like a reason to shy away from opportunities. And I wouldn't say that I was timid, but I was just, my decision making for a long time in my life was based not solely on, but heavily based on like what makes me nervous and what doesn't, or what makes me anxious and what doesn't. And so, but always choosing the comfortable route is not the way to, live the life that you're meant to live. And so it would be just because something makes you anxious does not mean that you shouldn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
I feel like you took mine
Sorry, Dylan.
because it's really good advice. Like uncomfortable does not equal bad.
Yeah. Right.
Simply put.
Right. Hard does not equal bad also. Yeah.
Yeah, hard, bad, whatever. So one of the biggest things I think when I was in high school for me was my self-confidence. It was just I had a hard time being confident in the decisions that I was making, and I always doubted myself. So I think a big piece of it is really kind of comes down to not every decision I make is that big of a deal in a way.
Yeah.
It's like not every single decision I make has to be something, a hill that you die on.
Yeah,
It's like you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. And that's the second piece of the advice, is that have grace for yourself when it comes, and knowing that God's grace is new every single morning. For me today is like a very practical thing that I pray every single day. It's like, okay, God, yesterday I wasn't fully what I wanted to be, but today I have a new chance and a new opportunity, and it's okay. I wasn't the best version of myself yesterday because your grace covers me in that way.
Right. Well, and I feel like this is true. I mean, it still can be true even now. It doesn't matter how old you are, but especially when you're younger, it really can feel like it's impossible to see past today. Maybe that's because you have less of a like experience bank behind you, the younger that you are. But sometimes if I don't check myself, I could still be this way, where it feels like whatever struggle I'm going through right now, or whatever like big thing that I'm facing, like that this is going to be like the end, like not literally, but like this is going to ruin everything, or like this is going to catastrophically change my entire life.
Yeah.
And I guess the more struggles you go through, you build up this like thicker skin to be able to say, okay, even if this like is painful or uncomfortable or inconvenient, it's not gonna ruin my life. Like it's not the end all be all. And so I feel like kind of piggybacking off of that, especially when I was around that age, like 15, 16, everything felt like the end of the world.
Yeah.
Every big problem felt like the end of the world.
Which, for me, that's exactly why I went that way, because every single time I made a decision, I feel like it wasn't the best decision I could have made. It seems like it was the end of the world.
Yeah.
And you go to bed feeling like, oh man, I'm just like the worst. And I was so in my head about that. And I've learned recently, actually, there's studies that have shown this, that the best way to boost self-confidence is to practice self-compassion.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's
That was cool.
journaling about it, just praying about it, talking about it, giving yourself a break, realizing that it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
And to...
Well,
Yeah.
because, I mean, a lot of times we're our own biggest critics. And so if you can know that even if you make a decision that's not the best one, that you can live with yourself afterwards, it's much easier to be more confident and just make decisions and not worry about the potential backlash that you're going to get internally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And externally, too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think those were such great answers. So I have another one that I think is really good. This question is what is most, okay, I'm going to start over. Who or what is most important to you now?
My thought process is like the right answer would be Jesus is the most important to me.
Yeah.
And yet oftentimes maybe Dylan and I are feeling similarly, but sometimes you look at the way you've structured your life and you realize that like, oh, I'm living as if I'm the most important person to me, even though I don't want to admit that that's the truth. And so regularly pushing back against that and doing things to put God first and then put other people above you as well is important, just to help push back against, I think, the natural tendency that we all have to try and put ourselves first. Like, and honestly for me, like having a child changed everything about that, right? Because it's like getting married does as well, because now it's like every decision you make is not just based off of what you want, but also off of what another person wants and needs and how it'll affect them. And then you go even further when you have a kid, and it's like this human being could not physically survive, like could not provide for the basic needs that they have as a person without you, And I think even like probably moms feel that even more than dads, but both parents, feel that in a way of like, man, I have to be willing at any moment to drop literally anything. I could be having the most important job interview or the most important whatever, I don't know, other important things in my life. And if one of my kids needed something from me, we only have one right now, but hypothetically, it would be like, oh, done.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm passing up the greatest opportunity vocationally or financially or entertainment wise that's ever been in front of me. If my kid needed something.
That's really sweet.
Do you still struggle with that, though, at some level?
What's that?
Like putting your kids first, putting your wife first?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like, because we're naturally, I think like just one of the effects of sin is that we are selfish. And so there are times when I, like it's, the more you do it, the easier. It's like working out or like practicing anything else, right? Like the more you do it, the easier it gets. And so living as if, living in such a way where I put other people first is getting, by the grace of God, progressively easier. But there are still times where it's like, okay, I know that I could do this thing and it would make Bailey's life a lot easier. Just my wife, Bailey, make her life a lot easier, but I don't have to do it and things will still be fine. And so then it's a very real wrestling match internally of like, do I have to do it or do I not do it?
That's a really interesting point that you bring up. And I think even if you can do that with any priority that you have.
Absolutely.
And this is something like I think about, if you're going to live life, why not live it to the best you can? If you're going to cook for your family, maybe add a little bit more love. Or if you're going to,
Ramen's not okay with you?
What?
Well, ramen's not okay with you?
Nah. No.
Not a big ramen noodle
Not until
fan.
college.
Yeah.
No, but it's
Keep going.
if you're going to do something, do it with all your might. And it takes time to build up that endurance. But I think that's a beautiful thing to know, oh, even this little thing that I'm doing, maybe the hallway is dirty and I'm gonna clean it up just so if my parent or my sibling walks in, it's gonna look a little bit nicer and it's gonna make life feel like a little bit better, even if it's not like one little thing.
Right.
And obviously those are all
Yeah.
really hard to like do, and it takes like time to build up like that kind of awareness and
Yeah.
like that endurance.
But once you get to see the joy of, because you talk about like cleaning so that it will be nice for your family, or I even think about little things like going out of your way to do something nice for someone at school. I mean, like, well, people throw around the phrase random act of kindness, but it's like, it doesn't have to be random. It could be planned out. Like you can,
Oh, yeah.
you can
Okay.
be intentional. Like, I'm waking up this morning. If you're somebody who prays, like, okay, God, put somebody in my heart or on my mind that I'm going to go out of my way to be extraordinarily nice to or kind to today. Not that you're not nice to everyone,
Yeah.
but like, I want to be intentional about, I'm going to go out of my way to like reach out to this person, or maybe it's not even a particular person, but just like help me have the eyes that I need to be able to, be selfless, to be caring, to be loving
Yeah.
at school.
Okay, I was at the gas station, like I'm thinking about this, and I had to get like cash out of the register. I wasn't buying anything, and I walk up, oh, can I take cash out of this card? She's like, oh, you have to buy something. And there was like this single rose like next to the thing, so I was like, grab the rose and I'll buy this. And I turned to the lady behind me. She's like in her 60s or something.
Sure.
And I'm like, would you like this rose? And she goes, no.
What?
I was like,
That's so nice
That is
of
the
was like,
you.
what
sweetest thing I've ever heard. And
That's
the lady
so
turned
nice
it
of
down.
you.
no. And I was like,
No.
I was like,
Oh,
in my
I'm
head,
sorry.
okay. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I'll just give it to my mom. And it was just like, I'm beefing.
Yeah.
Like, that was like,
that hurts,
weird.
man.
Like, I just felt like rejected.
Well, yeah, because the other thing is like
Wow,
one of the things
lady.
that makes living selflessly, or like not living as if you're most important, easier is when you get to like experience some of the satisfaction of like helping, of doing something good. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think that I'm not saying you should live for that. I'm not saying that should be your only motivation, but there's nothing wrong with feeling good about doing something nice for somebody, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's an intrinsic motivator. And so, Bailey and I, we were at dinner the other night, and there was a young couple, like, seniors in high school that we know from the community that we live in, that we saw at the restaurant, and we paid for their meal. And we didn't tell them that it was us who paid for their meal. Like, it doesn't matter. But like, we were happy to do it, and we were happy about the fact that we had the ability to do it. And
Yeah.
so, it's
Yeah.
like, there's nothing wrong with like enjoying, or, if you clean up or do something unexpectedly and your parents are like really happy about that.
So I'm really excited for this question. What is the most trouble you've ever been in?
Here's my thing is that I grew up with 3 siblings who got in lots of trouble with my parents, and I learned how not to get in trouble.
That's fair.
So I
I was the opposite.
be that way is like I kind of in a way learned one, the consequences of doing something to get yourself in trouble, but I also learned how to not get caught.
No, I do have an answer, but-
I've done things that were unsafe and cops got involved.
Me too, bro.
And but here's the thing is my parents taught me how to be kind and respectful to authorities.
Yeah, right.
And so I there was multiple times where I've talked to policemen and they were always very much like, oh, he's a nice young man. He was very respectful. I didn't fight back. Like,
Right.
I was doing something I shouldn't have been doing. One of the things was riding a snowboard behind somebody's car. My car, my friend was driving, and
Right.
same
Not
night,
safe.
same night, I got this scar on my forehead.
I wonder why.
Different thing though. I wasn't riding on the car at that point. I
Fair.
got the scar before I got in trouble with the
Oh,
police
already.
officer.
Oh,
But I
So
learned
funny.
I learned how to like be respectful and learned how to.
I would have
to not
never
get caught.
assumed this from you.
Maybe this is not the best lesson to
I would have
teach on
assumed
this
it from
podcast.
Tyler.
Dylan was a skater boy.
I was, and
Oh wait,
I got
that's right. You talked about that.
most of this instances where I talked to police officers was because I was skating on public property or private property where people didn't want me there, and so they call the police, and then cops show up.
Yeah.
One time, my neighbors called the cops on me because we went to Walmart and we bought. Let me see here, how many pumpkins did we fit into my car?
A lot.
The day after Halloween, if you go to Walmart, I don't know if this is still the case, but like 10 years ago,
Yeah,
you could buy a pumpkin
fair.
for 1 penny at Walmart after Halloween.
Oh, nice.
And
That's
so
amazing.
we bought like 50 pumpkins, and we went out to, there was I lived at the end of a road. They hadn't extended the road yet, so it was just like gravel, and we just went out there and got like baseball bats and golf clubs and hockey sticks, and we just were smashing pumpkins.
Nice.
That's perfectly
pretty harmless fun.
Honestly,
that's not that bad.
very harmlessly fun. But here's the thing: our neighbors thought that we had like stolen somebody's pumpkins, and so
okay.
somebody
That
down the
makes sense.
street called the cops on us. The cops show up. So this is
Did you have to show the receipt?
This is on the edge. Just wait. Just on the edge of the cornfield is where I live. So the road was going into a cornfield, but there was a cornfield still there. And there was a cop that went behind the cornfield and flanked us from behind. And there's a cop that drove up with his brights on.
Oh,
So
they got you.
They had us surrounded.
Man,
so
they really
we
got
couldn't
you.
run.
They took that very seriously.
And so they were like, hey, what's going on? We explained it. We're like, we went to Walmart. We bought pumpkins. They're like, do you have a receipt? I'm like, yeah, in my pocket. And I gave him it. He was like, okay, that's fine.
Fair enough.
And he's like, what's that on the hood of the car? And he shines his light on my car. And there's a bottle of Arnold Palmer.
Oh,
He's like, what's that on the
Tea.
car there? I was like, Arnold Palmer iced tea. He's like, okay. He's like,
you
well,
can have
you
some if you want.
yeah, literally, I think one of us might have said that. We're all like, we were kind and
Right.
and we didn't
would not
run
care.
and the cops were like, yeah, okay, well, just make sure you clean it up and don't be too loud.
Right.
And then they left.
Fair enough.
So did I get into trouble? Yes, but in a legal sense.
that was legal.
The most trouble I ever got in, probably, oh gosh. So I don't know if this is still a thing, and I don't want to glorify this because if someone did it to my house, I would be very upset. But we were ding dong ditching people. I don't know if you guys know what that is, right? Like,
Bro, everyone knows what that
okay,
is.
so here, but it gets worse.
Yeah,
That's why
bro.
I got in trouble. So we were doing that, and then there were a couple people in the neighborhood that we were in that were like, we didn't like, they weren't nice to us or whatever. Like the two that I can think of in my mind where it was like there was someone in the family in our class, in our grade, but then they also had an older sibling, and the older sibling in both of these instances was like very mean to us, the group of friends that I had. And so not that justifies this because it's not like they had to pay for it. I'm sure their parents did. But so we instituted, in addition to the ringing the doorbell, someone would garage bomb them, which just means run into their garage door as hard as you can. So it rattles really loud. And we did it late at night, so we're either waking people up or they're like having to get up out of their chair or off the couch.
Didn't that just hurt?
I don't know. I never was the garage bomber. I was the doorbell guy. And so there was one family in particular that the older brother was really mean. And so we went and I went up to the door to ring the doorbell, and they must have seen me come up the walk or something like that, because right before I could hit the doorbell, the door flies open and I'm standing face to face with the dad. And then so I don't even get a chance to ring the doorbell, but I'm frozen, right? Finger halfway up to the doorbell, and then my friend just bam into the garage door because he doesn't know that the guy opened the door. So I'm standing there looking at him as we both hear my friend hit the garage door really hard. So we take off and run, and I'm like, oh, okay, he doesn't know who I am, this dad, so it's not going to be that big of a deal.
Oh, no, he for sure knew who you were.
Well, that's so we run, and we are running through people's yards and diving into bushes and stuff, and the older son gets in his truck and starts patrolling the neighborhood to try and find us. And so we thought we were really
hilarious.
sneaky. And then I get to school the next day, and the principal, I think this was a Sunday evening. I get to school the next day, and the principal calls my friend and I into the
What?
No, why are they
principal's
bringing
office.
this drama into
That's what I
school?
thought. I was like, wait a second, I can't get in trouble for this here. This was
Yeah.
outside of school hours. And he's like, nope, you're still getting punished for it. Cool.
So, if you could be one or two things, the dumbest person in a planet of where everyone else is intelligent, or the smartest person in a planet where everyone else is dumb.
That's like Idiocracy.
Ugh.
You ever seen that movie?
No.
He's frozen in a cryogenic chamber, so his body's preserved for thousands of years. And he wakes up, and the nation of the United States is just complete idiots. Everybody's super dumb. One of the biggest problems they have in their agriculture is they can't grow their corn, and they're trying to figure out why. It's because all they're using to water their corn is Gatorade.
Oh, yeah.
It's marketed as corn loves electrolytes, and they're trying to figure out why they can't get their
Oh,
food to grow.
gosh.
And so this guy who's like very average intelligence, below average, he like tells him, well, plants need water,
Not
and then
Gatorade.
he's like praises this genius.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe that one. No, I don't know, because then the world's just like. I don't
Wait,
know,
like
you
think
can't-
about it.
I'm-
Take a second to think about it.
I'm picking the dumbest in a world full of smart people because I know that I cannot do everything.
Oh yeah.
And so if I have to be the
that
only
one.
smart one and everything else in my life depends on people that I know are not intelligent, then it's like I'm going to die early, or I'm going to just have a very unfulfilling life because people the economy is going to collapse because
Yeah.
people can't grow
So
corn.
you chose like the one to be the least intelligent. You chose to be the most.
I'm changing my mind though, because I think that you would make a really good point.
I
Yeah, I
can't
agreed with that.
I can't be in charge of every industry, and so because we're still only one person, and so I just think I would just have to live with being the dumb one and just benefit from everyone else's
I
intelligence.
know, that's
Yeah.
what I was thinking. I'm like, if you're the
Oh.
dumbest person, like I was thinking about this when I'm, driving my car. I'm like, I get to drive this car because there were so many smarter people before me who made this.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Overall, your life would be better quality because
Yeah.
other people are smart.
but then
Yeah.
again, like if like the smart people are immoral, then like you're probably gonna
yeah,
be.
that's true too,
You know
though.
that.
Yeah.
That-
I feel like
Are
we're like
they
looking
good?
into it complicated.
Are they good people or are they evil geniuses?
That's
I
tough.
don't know.
Also, though, is anybody really a good person? For all have sinned and fallen short of the
That's
glory of God.
another question for another episode.
Thank you for listening. Tune in next time and make sure you like and subscribe. Visit us at journeycoaching.org and check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Start your own journey at journeycoaching.org.
Your life, your journey starts now. Ba-da-ba-da.